The following is presented by the Cheeky Bastards.
Come to the coast, we get together, have a few laughs.
Yippee Ki-Yay Motherfuckers, and welcome to the 7th edition of Dropping a Bruce, the monthly podcast where we watch every single one of Bruce Willis's 40 direct-to-video releases from his acting career to see if he took a role for a paycheck and dropped a deuce, or if in fact he took the role and gave it his all and dropped a Bruce. I'm the notorious Scott K.
And from the United Kingdom, this is Steve.
And together, we will be your captains on this 40-month journey through the lesser-known movies of Mr. Bruce Willis's filmography. This month's stop is the 2015 action thriller Extraction. Boom, boom, boom. Mr. Smith, we are re-recording. We have had the infamous bug that happens to all podcasts.
Well, yeah.
I forgot to record on the Church of Tarantino. We recorded our very first episode for Cheeky Bastards and re-recorded it because we didn't like it. And now I thought we're gonna make it through Bruce. Like, we got 40 episodes, we could do it. And we recorded this almost 2 months ago. This is gonna be the quickest edit I've ever had to do. Those of you who listen to us, we are recording this 2 days before it drops. However, we recorded over a month ago, and something happened in translation where it got all janky and just really distorted and was terrible. And the two of us sounded like robots. Maybe it was, you know what? We got Bades. Because we were when we did this, we were in the middle of Michael Bay. Yep.
This is like the first, this is really the first technical issue.
Yeah.
We've had issues in the past.
The other was more of a human error. The other issues was human issues.
Yeah, this is them fucking computers.
So we have recorded the next 2 episodes past this, and so we're redoing this. We are lucky, folks. You don't know how lucky we are. We get to re-talk about, this may be hyperbole for some of you, but we're talking about a film that may enter itself into the annals, not anals, although it did feel that way, into the annals of the spy thriller genre. It may dethrone the Bonds. It may dethrone the Mission Impossibles, and it may even bitch slap the Bournes. This is Extraction. Mr. Smith, how did you enjoy rewatching it? As you decided to take on that Herculean effort, I went back to the notes, read my notes, refreshed myself, and remembered the amazing film we're about to get into that it was.
Yeah, because we get through so many movies. You know, you got to think with the Tarantino thing, with the Cheeky Bastards,
yes,
and this, and just our natural, obsession with movies in general. We get through so many films, and I was when you messaged me about having to re-record this one, I couldn't even remember what film it was. I was like, which one was that again? And then my heart sunk when I went on a Letterboxd to check it out again. So I will be honest with you, and I think I've found this with quite a few of the Bruce Willis's. The second watch, I think because you kind of know what you're getting this time, they're kind of less disappointing. I found this an easier watch this time. And for now, that's all I'm really going to say, because I don't want to ruin things. I do tend to jump the gun. It's been known to happen. So, but all I'll say is, once you're familiarized, you kind of settle in, and
it's like it's like when you go to the proctologist for the first time, and he slaps on that glove, and he's lubing up, and he's gonna go in and check, and he's like, okay, he's like, all right, here it comes. You're like, whoa. Hey. Second time around, you go, hey, did I say one finger? Maybe this time you make it 2, Doc. So that's
go to town.
Hey, let's get in there. Get in there and wrist deep, my friend. All right.
What do they have for dinner, huh? So I didn't find it quite, I'm not going to say anymore because I'll jump
as invasive
I'll
as
jump
the first
gun.
time.
I'm jumping the gun. Let's just get into this.
Well, before we disappoint our father, because we were too big a pussy to shoot the man who just killed our mother, it's time for our...
What you talking about, Willis?
Just the facts, man. Just the facts.
This film was released in 2015, written by Max Adams and Umar Aleem, and directed by Stephen C. Miller, starring Kellen Lutz, Bruce Willis, Gina Carano, D.B. Sweeney, Tyler Olson, Lydia Hall, Dan Bilzerian, and Steve Coulter. With a running time of 83 minutes, it holds a 4.1 rating on IMDb and a 6 critic and 17 audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. A former CIA operative is kidnapped by a group of terrorists. When his son learns that there is no plan for his father to be saved, he launches his own rescue operation. Lionsgate and Grindstone Entertainment Group presents Extraction.
My name is Leonard Turner. I am with the Central Intelligence Agency, and I have been taken hostage. In approximately 14 hours, they will have control over the world's telecommunications. If their demands are not met, all missile silos will be activated with coordinates set the continental United States.
Harry, it's your dad.
Sir, I want to be a part of this.
Your goal is to get your father back. My goal is to protect the free world.
Those goals are one and the same.
We'll take it from here, Agent Turner.
Sir?
Go home, son.
Harry, sorry about the way this is going down.
Me too.
Sir, it just activated.
Asia, Europe, and South America lost communication.
They have a terrorist faction in the southeastern United States.
Where are the missile codes?
You tell me, and I walk on out of here.
I missed you too. So what's the plan?
Get inside and ask them where the codes are.
So you have no plan.
Works in the movies.
Take the shot! Don't ever threaten my family.
Now, was that so hard?
As I said on an episode that you did not hear because of technical difficulties, I will re-say, for our first 6 months, I was remiss in letting you know what movies Mr. Willis had appeared in. So I will catch us up from the time he started until now. So 2008 was our first. So in 2008 to 2011, the theatrical releases that Mr. Willis had was What Happened from 2008, Surrogates in 2009, Cop Out 2010, The Expendables in 2010, Red from 2010, The Black Mamba from 2011. In 2012, he was in Lay the Favorite, The Cold Light of Day, Moonrise Kingdom, Expendables 2, and The Amazing Looper. From 2013 to 2014, he was in A Good Day to Die Hard, which probably could have fallen into this group, G.I. Joe Retaliation, Red 2, and Sin City 2. And the only film that Mr. Willis appeared in 2015 that went into the theaters was Rock the Casbah. So, that's where he sits. That's where he currently sits.
The times they were a-changing.
Yes. We were headed towards the 34 straight to DVD releases and then 26 of them in a row. So that was what's coming down the pipeline after this. So, Mr. Willis in this film plays Leonard Turner, a salty dog of an undercover CIA operative whose cover was blown, resulting in the murder of his wife by a group of terrorists. Or possibly just car thieves. Really not exactly your bread and butter terrorist looking people.
No,
Look a little bit like some extras from maybe Grand Theft Auto, maybe a side mission. Not exactly the main guys you go up against, but like a side mission. You gotta rob a car with a few people. Yeah, not exactly your tough guys.
No.
But to give you folks a little more depth in what we're dealing with here. When a long-in-the-tooth CIA operative is kidnapped by terrorists, his son, a government analyst, sets out to rescue him. But to do so, he must evade skilled operatives and deadly assassins in this kindergarten Jason Bourne extraction.
That pretty much sums it up.
Yeah. Now, it feels like we've already said this. We have. Now, all of Bruce's scenes were filmed in just one day, which we have come to find is going to be a standard thing as we get further down the line, is that all of his scenes, he seems to film a lot of times in one day. Now, in this film, he's actually in quite a few scenes, so that's actually quite impressive considering.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
We actually get a little bit of action from this. But the stunning fact that we've always talked about, I have an opinion. I believe that the piece of shit who we've talked about in the past episodes, who is the guy who has Steve's favorite thing. He has that train thing that comes out, like that, like CGI train as a part of. I think it's EMO is the name of their production company.
Yeah, it kind of lures you into thinking you're watching something really big budget.
I feel that whoever helps produce these, they are washing drug money, because this was made for $12 million. And it basically makes nothing back. So they've got to be washing drug money. It's the only thing I can think of.
Do you know what? That is
pump these
insane.
out.
I've said before that they do tend to... It's kind of sketchy, given the info on budget of these movies. Box office you can find, because they can't control it, like I've said. But because it's made $1 million at the box.
You would think that if your movies are making anywhere from $8 to $10 million losses every time, how are you cranking them out at such a rate of speed? Only thing I think of is they're washing old money to get them new money.
Let's just point out once again, 25 producers on this movie.
25 drug dealers.
Well, maybe.
25 people in the game.
So that's a lot of... You got to pay a lot of... That's where a lot of that budget...
Drug dealers.
We know that's where that budget is going.
Think about that. All that money for Bruce for one day. Yeah. At this point, Bruce Willis is a high-class prostitute. You're paying him how much for a day?
Do you know what? At this point, I can well imagine A, he wasn't getting the roles. B, given his situation...
I think we talk about this...
Well, maybe in the future.
We're jumping the gun. In the future. But yeah, there's a review or two coming up where I think we spotted where the aphasia has begun.
Yeah, so
that no one knew what it was, but maybe some people... I think that maybe why the rumor was going around that maybe he was just cashing in, or he was, not putting in a performance. People thought maybe he was just taking the money, but I think in reality, the truth is he was starting to slip, and we will actually we can discuss it more in the future.
We'll get to that.
But I think that could be some of why we're doing one day, and you're getting these borderline performances as we get further down, because
I guess it's kind of hard to turn down $1 million for a day's work.
Oh, neither one of us? Absolutely.
Yeah, so...
Absolutely. I can't begrudge the man for the money.
And he's probably not getting the roles anyway at this point. He's a bit, probably, dare I say, a bit of a has-been already. We know how Hollywood works.
Well, I mean, some of the movies I read to you, I mean, again, we're still mid-2010s, but he put out The Cop Out. He wasn't, we heard a lot about that and that. I mean, honestly, he started to phone it in, in A Good Day to Die Hard when he's in that was Die Hard 5 or whatever.
So we're talking about a series of flops.
I've actually seen better movies, when I look back at it, I've seen better movies that we've gone through so far than A Good Day to Die Hard.
He was awful in that. Definitely a couple coming up.
Yeah, so, his...
We're on some sketchy ground already here, aren't we? We're starting to get towards what we can see is the issue.
And for those of you who are not American, as you do in America, you usually find a southern city to stand in for a major East Coast metropolitan. So Mobile, Alabama was standing in for Newark, New Jersey.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, those of you who don't know, right across the Hudson River from Newark, New Jersey, is the skyline of New York City. And we don't ever see that. We don't even see a river, for that case, in this film. So, hey, I'm sure they gave away great tax credits down there in Mobile, Alabama. But most of these films that I have watched through this and my Nicolas Cage journey, a lot of southern states, Mississippi, Alabama, and New Orleans area of Louisiana, seem to give really good tax breaks, and people shoot really shitty movies in them. So shout out to the southern states for keeping it going. Woo. Now, on a positive note, this was a movie that allowed Bruce to do some fucking action finally. Like, we open up with an action scene. Now, listen, it's not...
Well...
Let me preface this. Don't anyone think we're talking about Die Hard level action, all right? We're not. We're not talking about Die Hard level action. But comparatively to what we have seen to this point, and even since you and I are now 2 episodes ahead of the folks that we're talking to at the moment, because we recorded this in order and now it's out of order, we also know that this is probably some of the most action we've seen even up to the next few movies. I mean, we open the film with Bruce. We won't get into the fact that at one moment he's tied up with white zip ties, and when he breaks free, he's got black zip ties on, or vice versa, I forget, and he goes into his killing spree. But he opens the film, he has a weapon, and he actually does some action. So that, right out the gate, you gotta go, yeah, all right, finally. Especially if any of you who are listening to us, as we unbelievably appreciate, on the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network, which means you're action fans. So if you have somehow decided to jump on board the train and have watched these films we've talked about, as we're talking, if you watch this one, that yes, there's finally some action for Bruce Willis, who was hired for these films because he's an action star, and we have not given him most of the fucking action. Now, when I said that to you, the first time we talked about this, you agreed. But this time around, since you've seen it for a second time, you had a little bit more of a pause, almost as if like the second time you tasted a beer, you're like, that one does take like mule piss.
Yeah.
So what was the look?
No, I mean, we do get, one thing I can say for this movie is we do get an impressive intro with Bruce. He's there at the very beginning, so you're not just spending... You know, with a lot of these movies, you are twiddling your thumbs, so to speak, waiting for Bruce to show up. Whereas in this one, he's there from the get-go.
Yes.
And it's a fairly exciting, like, little bit of action going on just to get you sort of lubed up.
Yes.
So yeah, it's not a bad little scene.
Look, I was excited.
Scene, I'll give you that.
He had his guns and he was shooting, he was killing people.
Well, I was more impressed with it this time
he's
than
older
the first
too.
time I'd seen it. So, you know, I was kind of like, yeah, actually, you know what? I'm in.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
I was the same way because what was the film before this? I'm trying to remember. Oh, we did Vice. And we had Thomas Jane's neuroses, but we didn't really have... Bruce was more of a guy just standing around. So the last time we had him do any kind of action, it was that farcical one with Jason Patrick and the Christmas tree that we never talked about again.
The Prince. Yeah.
So last time we saw him, he was in The Prince, that he did some action, but it was fucking ridiculous. So
do you know what? One thing I've begun to notice about these movies is...
They all blend into one?
No, that's even too harsh by my standards. But I think a lot of the trouble is, I mean, look, they're miscast. Like if you switch the cast around a little bit, you could kind. I'm not saying that's going to be much better.
Yeah, no. I know what you mean.
Time you think, you know what, that'd be Prince would have been a far more interesting movie if John Cusack would have been the lead and not Jason Patrick. And Jason Patrick would have maybe shown up to be the quirky guy. Do you know what I mean? You had people playing against type a little bit rather than kind of like everyone phoning it in and they all just seem to stick out. Like I say,
they all feel tired.
Well, that's because they're doing the same
like
shit they've done forever. That's my point.
I know, but I think we're just middle aged, and they're just like,
whatever. Where's my fucking paycheck? You know, I get it. I do get it. But with a lot of these movies, I just get the vibe. I just think, like, you know what?
Yeah.
You know, if that guy would have played this guy and diddle-a-diddle-a-doo, maybe that would have been a little bit quirkier, and you'd have pricked up your ears a little bit and thought, you know. So, but anyway, that didn't happen. I'm in fantasy land where every movie is good. So I've got an answer for them all, you know.
Again, you get the beginning of, you know, we see Bruce, and then he's got to make a phone call, and his younger son, who will eventually be played by Kellen Lutz in older form, I don't know, somehow the terrorists are there to get him, and he calls his buddy at a bar, and then his son, and he watches his mom get killed on the porch, and then this fucking limp dick kid can't pull the trigger to kill the men who just killed his mom in front of him, and the kid who's acting in it doesn't seem all that upset the mom just got killed. I'm thinking she took his Game Boy or his iPad, and he's like, fuck that bitch.
With you, I actually think that's one of the more realistic aspects,
Which, that he wasn't upset that she was dead?
He didn't just suddenly turn into fucking Jason Bourne once he grabbed his...
No, I know. But I feel like...
I know what you feel like.
No, I don't expect to be Jason Bourne.
To think, if that was
feel
me,
like maybe you should just, you know...
No, but everyone's probably watching. If that was me, I would have fucking got that gun and killed that terrorist.
I'm not saying he should have picked up his gun and he shoots the guy dead between the eyes and blows him away, and like all of a sudden he turns into Jason Bourne. I'm saying at least fire some shots at the person.
In his defense,
defend your own life.
He didn't really get the chance because fucking DB Sweeney shows up out of nowhere and fucking shoots the guy.
Which, when we talked last time, when I first saw that, I said, DB Sweeney's banging a mom. I said, DB Sweeney is at that house awfully quick.
No, he's at the bar.
I know,
what are you talking about?
He called him, and 2 seconds later, he's at the house quick. I'm just saying, I think he was at the bar right around the corner.
Well, that's neither here nor there.
I think DB Sweeney. It's here and there, sir. He was here, and then he was there. You know what?
If Bruce Willis would have called his son, and the son would have said, look, Mum can't come with the phone right now because DB Sweeney's balls deep right now, and they're getting it on. That's one thing. But that's a different movie.
She'd be alive, but
that's a different movie.
Alive, possibly.
You know, that's a good movie. That's a watchable movie. This, however, is not. But, you know, no, I actually found it.
We're learning that Steve would like to see DB Sweeney deep in someone's mom.
Well, no, I just want an action flick, is what I'm saying.
So she's taking his D&B and digging balls.
But no, so I'm saying that the son not pulling the trigger is neither here nor there, really, because A, Yeah, he is
I
a
know.
coward at that point, but he's like fucking 14 and he's never probably shot anyone before. I know it's America and everything, but maybe there is one person who hasn't shot someone before.
What happens is when you're born in America, the doctor slaps you on the ass, hands you a gun, you have to shoot somebody, or
That's
how
not even
abortions
funny.
really happen. That's what they'll tell you.
That'd
We
be
killed
funny
men.
if it wasn't so fucking true. But the fact is, DB Sweeney bursts in, fucking swinging his fucking dick and fucking
Dick and Ball Sweeney shows up
and whacks this terrorist guy anyway. So yeah, that's how we start proceedings with his son who's.
But I think you're skipping over the fact the son can't shoot is literally a plot point that starts
I'm
the
not
rest of this
skipping
film.
over that.
The fact he can't shoot the gun.
No.
I didn't
Whoa,
skip
whoa,
over, but
whoa,
you're making
You're skipping over that.
I'm saying
not.
from that moment.
I'm saying.
I didn't skip over it. I said the kid was a pussy, couldn't shoot. That is a key moment because he can't shoot.
But you just
it's
said
the
the
whole
least
reason
he
the rest
should
of
have
this
done
film
was find
happens.
some shots. Well, if he would have done that, then he wouldn't have the
should
fucking.
have.
That
No,
wouldn't, the plot wouldn't work,
get it.
would it?
What I'm saying is
the plot wouldn't work.
We're treading into the weakness of the plot.
That's the
what I'm
least
saying.
of
It's
this
the least
movie's fucking problems. Jesus Christ.
Well, first off, this is at least it's not the Fabrizios, but it's still two fuckwads. But the interesting thing is, this is from Stephen C. Miller, who in 3 months from now, when you listen to us,
if we
he
go
actually
into
did a movie called
Scooby-Doo
Marauders that
territory
we may feel a little bit different about. But yeah. So anywho, that's how this opens. And the one thing that we have said up to this point, and I think when we recorded this earlier, you enjoyed this, but they had some fucking amazing opening title sequences. Like, they were selling this as the next American James Bond. This is what this was going to be. Like, that title sequence rivaled some of the James Bond ones. And I was like, this is where this is where the money's going to. The money's going to Bruce Willis and the title sequences. And then they're like, fuck the rest of it. We got the most important things.
Not only is the title sequence pretty awesome, the music was playing over it as well. Kind of, 100%. You know, it's kind of like, here we go.
Yeah, you were grabbing good old glory. You're grabbing an American flag, and you were gonna fucking start.
Yeah, let's do this.
You're gonna have an eagle on one shoulder.
Yeah, because you had the bit at the beginning where Bruce Willis kicks all these guys' asses, shoots everyone. He does a John Cusack and stabs the main guy in the neck with a pen, and then actually says to him, "You look too stupid with that pen in your neck," which I thought was pretty cool as he's lying there bleeding out like a stuck pig. That was awesome. So then, as you pointed out, we get this awesome credit sequence, which is the animation is, like you pointed out, very reminiscent of James Bond. We've got this like pumping like score that's playing, and you're just like, man, this one could actually be pretty fucking good. Yeah.
Could.
That's what you're thinking.
And then the title sequence ends, and Twilight's very own Kellen Lutz appears on screen. And in the biggest shameful use of a montage ever, which is a trope. And look, I'm a fan. We're 80s. I think the 80s really sold these, and maybe even late 70s with Rocky. It's the old, they're not just for training, but a lot of the montages we get that we remember are the training montages, right? There's always, like Daniel's son, he couldn't fucking fight a fly, and then Mr. Miyagi gets a hold of him, and after a catchy 80s song and a couple of quick shots of him on the beach in training, he goes from weakling to, I'm ready to crane kick a motherfucker and win a karate tournament. So we get Kellen Lutz, who, when we first see him, is unable to not only shoot a gun, but he could barely punch a punching bag. And after a shitty techno-infused song that felt like it was in a gay club,
not that there's anything wrong with
Lutz is suddenly goes from being Napoleon Dynamite to Jason Wick Bond in 3 minutes. And the sad thing is you could just tell from the way that even Kellen Lutz's physique is, this person's worked out before. You go, he's done some athletic things. We're trying to turn him in from, like John Heder, the guy who plays Napoleon Dynamite. We want him to look like Napoleon Dynamite, but then become the physique of Kellen Lutz. So we have to pretend that Kellen Lutz can't throw punches and can't do anything. And then before you know it, he's like a kung fu artist. It was just so, and I think maybe the music made it even worse. It was just, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, maybe I should just skip back and rewatch the titles and just turn this movie off. And I've seen a great short film.
Yeah, I mean, actually, the first time I saw it, I didn't quite figure out that that's what was going on. Was that, right, there's a bit...
He was learning the ropes?
No, seriously. I didn't quite figure out that he was learning the ropes in that sequence. I just thought he was crappy. Crappy, like action hero. Well, no, because at the very first thing you see is him
punching someone, like he's got gloves on.
What's that called?
Yeah, he's just punching.
When
the guy's
having a fucking.
Yeah, he's like boxing. Yeah, he's like shadow boxing with him, and I feel bad for the guy sitting there with him because he's just. It looks like a little kid throwing punches.
Yeah, they're having like a spar. It's like with his
more.
sparring partner, and he's got the pads on, and this Lutz guy is punching. But he's right. Here's the thing: he's punching really slow, right? Now I thought that was just really bad slow motion. I don't know, maybe I was drunk. It happens, you know. But I was like, man, this slow motion is awful. But that turns out that he's trying to emulate the fact that, you know, he's trying to like show that he's not a fighter yet. Although he looks like a fucking brick shit house, do you know what I mean? He's fucking...
Yes, exactly.
He looks like he chews the furniture for a fucking living. So, like, yeah. But I didn't mind the montage because it told us a story, man. D.B. Sweeney was kind of like the Miyagi, I think we'd agree. Yeah, because he's there. Do it again. Do it again. You know, do it faster. Do this, do that, you know. So by the end, he's a killing machine, and I don't mean by the end of the movie. I mean by the end of the. I think you're being. I think you're being generous with the 3 minutes as well. That's probably more like maybe a minute and a half. In a minute and a half, he's a schlubby, fucking slow punching douchebag, and by the end, he's a fucking killing machine. So you're like, right.
No, he's a killing douchebag. He's still a douchebag. Well, yeah. He didn't change. He's not become a hero.
He's a bit of a bozo, isn't he?
He is, but I'll give him credit because we've had some problems with some of these other people. But at least in this, he had the physique of it. The thing that sucks is that he had to pretend he couldn't do anything. Like, we could have had him be a decent puncher, and then he's clearly has had some training, and then we could have moved up to him now doing like more expert level, harder moves. We didn't have to have him look like he'd never punched a bag before, like he's got limp wrists and he's gonna break his wrist every punch, to then suddenly he's like kung fu master. Like, we could have had a progression that would have fit who he looks like.
Listen though, right? Listen up. These filmmakers though are so deluded.
Professor Steve.
Right. They're so deluded they think they've got an epic story to tell. So there's no time for that. Okay?
You're right.
We've got a classic tale of espionage to get to.
They are making Bridge Over the River Kwai, and I forgot.
Exactly.
I apologize.
They ain't got time for this montage shit. They've got an epic tale of espionage to get to. And all that stuff that makes sense would just merely slow everything down.
Yes, you're right. Fans, I do apologize for bringing in... Whoa, come on. What the fucking asshole over here.
Well, so
I was just reading my notes, and my note was, what the fuck was that? First we get the lamest capture of a spy in film history, and then these two Olympic writers concoct an even lamer, hey, your dad was captured, fuck ass of a scene.
Actually, my note says Bruce Willis gets kidnapped again. That's how it starts. We're barely 10 minutes into the movie, and he's been kidnapped again.
It's the weakest kidnapping ever. He's talking to a guy, all of a sudden another guy shows up, and then it's like, well, I guess I'm kidnapped. Bruce doesn't put up a fight. Bruce doesn't pull a gun. It's just like one other guy shows up, and there's some bright lights. He goes, well, I guess I'm captured. It's like,
when he slaps his forehead and goes, don't.
And then, you know, I mean, the guy who's in this a lot, what's his name? Olsen there?
Yeah.
He pops back up, and he seems, I think I remember from the last time we recorded this, he's the only guy who seems to actually be doing a job. Like, he is really putting in a performance. Like, he knows
what film he's in. He's the only one who knows.
But like, he's overacting in this almost too much.
That's to make up for everyone who isn't acting at all.
He looks like he's just a computer analyst, and all of a sudden he has more information than the rest of the people, and he goes running out to find him and tell him that his dad was captured. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And my next note was, these fuck asses have absolutely no idea how the fucking CIA works. Or even spies, for that matter. They've clearly never seen a Bond film, a Mission Impossible Jason Bourne movie, or even a Spy vs. Spy Mad Magazine comic. I'm 20 minutes in, and I already want to kill everyone involved with this fucking film.
I think you're being a bit harsh.
Oh,
but not
man.
really. But not really.
Then I put this in for you, I know it. Kellen Lutz looks like Ryan Felipe in Setup. Changed my mind. However, he's the better action star. I said looks like his appearance. I was like, oh, we could have switched these two guys.
He's just a fat Ryan Phillippe, isn't he?
I think he's muscular, Ryan Philippe.
No, he's not.
But he's stockier because they don't
Hang
ever
on
let
a
him.
minute. Are you saying Ryan Philippe is muscular?
No,
right.
Kellen Lutz.
Lutz. No, that's what I'm saying.
Kellen Lutz.
That's what I'm saying. No, we're saying. I just think, yeah. But Ryan Philippe can act, though. This Lutz guy is a fucking.
Yeah. I know. It's hard to fight that.
No.
However, wouldn't you like to see them in a buddy cop?
No, there's films you like with Ryan Philippe in them. So, and he's not.
There's one.
There's more than one.
There's
but
one. No,
what I'm saying is, you're just not thinking. But this isn't about Ryan Philippe. Let's not go off track. I'm just saying, this guy looks like a fat Ryan Philippe. That is all I'm saying. I'm not talking. If we want to bring fucking filmographies and awards into this, let's not bother. they both suck in the grand scheme of things.
True.
This Lutz dude is just a fucking...
He got lucky. He was a pretty boy and he was in the Twilight series, so I think he made a lot of money just based on being an extra in those fucking films.
But that's, you know...
Hey, look, sometimes you get lucky.
Gun, though,
sometimes you step in dog shit and there's a $50 bill in there every now and again.
So, you know.
This is true.
So anyway, we're going off track, and
True.
A lot of that is my fault. So...
I think it's the only way to talk about this film and still enjoy ourselves. let's just
go off track at every opportunity.
It's such a convoluted plot. It really, really is. So once Bruce gets kidnapped and they have something in a briefcase, which feels like a Pulp Fiction thing. I think that maybe what they find in Pulp Fiction is a briefcase.
The MacGuffin, the Condor, which is...
The Condor, which makes no sense.
It's just the same thing as in the Mission Impossible, the latest Mission Impossible movie, isn't it? Where it's going to shut down all communications.
Yes. But...
And the electricity, apparently.
Movie, the CGI they use for the actual the computer graphics is so much better. This one looks like it's an Atari 2600.
Well, I think Mission Impossible has a little bit of a fucking benefit of having a $250 million budget.
I mean, they did spend 12. I mean, they came with an amazing title sequence. We should have got the people with the title sequence to at least do something for this.
Is this movie if you're going to compare this to fucking Mission Impossible? In that way,
no.
Right?
I'm saying they had $12 million. We threw $1 million to Bruce. They could have spent even an extra $100 to get some kind of graphics. Even if it was just fucking Microsoft Office, they could have at least used that. We'd have been like, oh, look at this.
No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't.
And it's still in a suitcase. This is the 2010s. This isn't the 1980s. They're still using 1980s spy technology. It's in a suitcase. Or in a briefcase.
They're still doing that now, man.
It's on a fucking flash drive. That's all it is. You're taking a flash drive, plug it in, bada bing, bada boom. I'm on. Fucking Stephen C. Miller. However, I'll give him credit. I think 4 or 5 years down the road, he actually does a decent film. We're going to talk about in 3 months.
He actually,
I'm talking
we'll get
about
to that.
2020's Die Hard 6.
Woo! So yeah, Bruce Willis gets kidnapped again, as we've pointed out, and
his useless son, who even though after 3 minutes is now a certified Jason Bourne, cannot get somehow signed to the field. He keeps failing some tests.
We don't know why at this point. We don't know
because when you watch it, he seems to have all his shit in order. He can shoot like no one's business, and yet he still can't get fucking assigned anywhere. Somehow he's in Prague. He's in Prague after a very non-loving scene with his father at the grave of his mom. That should have been the moment in this film, like most films, where we understand why Kellen Lutz now needs to go and save his dad, right? Because it should have been the moment where we feel whatever it was, whether he has to prove to his dad that, or make up for the fact that he feels like he got his mom killed or whatever. But we don't get any of it. We just kind of get this like Bruce is just like, oh, man, the best part of you, I probably jerked off the day before. If I hadn't shot the good stuff, I'd have got a good son. Like, he is so unaffected by his son being there, doesn't give two shits. Like, the kid's about to go to Prague in Czechoslovakia. He's about to be signed overseas, and his dad's just kind of like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. Like, there's no emotion, there's no connection, and away he goes. It was like, oh, all right. And so away he goes. And then all of a sudden he goes on a one-man, I got to save my dad spree.
But we are then introduced.
It's basically it.
We are then introduced to Miss Gina Carano.
Of The Mandalorian fame.
Well, as you pointed out, she was in Haywire, the Steven Soderbergh movie.
She was. I enjoyed that movie.
But she's done her fair share of stuff, but she is a fucking plank of wood.
Yes. She is a former UFC or MMA fighter. She's really good when she's like in the Steven Soderbergh movie when she's allowed to do that stuff. But when it comes to acting, even same thing when she was in The Mandalorian and the Star Wars thing. Like when she acts, but when she's, she can do the physical stuff. She should go the route of Zoe Bell. Except Zoe Bell can act somewhat. She should just do the stand. Like she's phenomenal she would be a great action star or a great stunt woman. She's got the physique and the ability. There's no doubt about it. Like she's the toughest person on in this film. Pound for pound, she would beat everyone up from the start. But yeah, like you said, she can't act and she can't be sexy for shit either. It might be because I guess if you train as an MMA fighter and it's always tough, like you've got a lot of toughness to you. I doubt you practice trying to dress slightly sexy or come across as being sexy. But she's supposed to at certain points in this film, and it doesn't work.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's a point in this film where she's in a strip club, and she has to seduce this guy. And I've written in my notes that Gina Carano has the sexual magnetism of a sock full of hamster vomit. It is fucking...
Here's the thing, is somehow I know you've seen a sock full of hamster vomit, because it's a very specific analogy you just made there,
I'm a very specific person, you know that about me. I think things through sometimes.
We won't ask where the hamsters were before they vomited, so we'll just move along.
Richard Gere's asshole, apparently.
Oh.
Listen, she's terrible at acting sexy to the point where you're like, is this deliberate? I don't think it is. You know, where like she's out of her depth and like she can't. Oh, they're gonna suss out who she is. It's not that. She's terrible.
No.
She's basically like Kurt Russell in Tango and Cash when he dresses as that woman. Yeah, that's where a spoofy and silly. She's like that just in real life.
Well, then there's a scene where she gets captured, and then she's like chained up by one handcuff because they couldn't afford two. I don't know. And then she I was just supposed to, I guess, seduce the guard to come over there, and then she fucks him up. But you're kind of like, neither of these things look like it should be happening.
It's bizarre. It's so bizarre. But yeah, so we're getting ahead of ourselves. But yeah, so basically, Lutz and Carano, they sort of team up to take down this.
Wait a minute, you're skipping a very important information. They used to.
Well, I was getting to that.
At the academy.
That's revealed later.
Dun dun dun.
That's revealed.
But there's no sexual chemistry between either of them. I don't believe they fucked it. I believe she may have fucked him. I don't think it's the other way around. I think he got paid.
No, that's a movie I'd watch. That's a movie I'd pay to watch.
That's a movie you're gonna watch as soon as we're done recording.
I'm gonna do more than watch it. Oh,
he's gonna watch Simon Pegged.
Hey.
Oh, I'm just kidding.
Where's the Simon come from? These quips.
I know, because I just Simon Pegg. I use what was available to me.
This is some abstract quippage going on here, man.
Listen. This is the second time we've recorded this. I mean, I don't know what you want from me.
I don't think any podcast has used the phrase.
This is actually better than the first time, I think.
I don't think any podcast has ever used the phrase. Abstract quippage, but I'm making it
there
a thing.
There you go. With cheeky bastards. What do you expect?
Yeah, so as you pointed out, yeah, like they've sort of like teamed up to find this Condor flash drive in this massive suitcase. She used to fuck him.
Yes, you got it correct.
So, I mean, you've gone past the bar fight, though, with the Hell's Angels.
I've also gone past I forgot.
Because that's where she comes into the movie.
No, but did he already have the bathroom fight?
No, that's at the strip club.
I apologize. I forgot about the amazing bar fight that always happens in America.
We
always have one of these
but there's
scenes.
a scene where he goes to get some info for some Hell's Angels, and he kicks the fuck out of them all. At the end, Gina Carano has to save him, and that's where they...
Well, he starts to, and then the tables do turn on him.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he kicks everyone's ass. But
he didn't go all Jason Bourne.
He's getting the shit kicked out of him by 12 guys at the same time. Gina Carano bursts in, saves him, and this is where we find out their backstory and how in love they were. And basically, it just gets more inept from there.
Because it did remind me, then you said I forgot about the fight scene. Then there's a fight scene at a bar later that night where they go to a strip bar. Look, the way they find out the information is absolutely kindergarten shit. It's just absolutely kindergarten writing. Absolutely makes no sense. Everyone's able to give up information. Everyone seems to know more things. Whatever. But they go to this bar, and while he's there, he's on the phone with DB, Dick and Balls Sweeney, is talking to him. And he says, oh, no, I'm sorry. Mr. Olsen says this. He tells him, there's a hit put out on you. How he knows this, I think, is running the CIA. I think the real thing is, what we don't realize is he's the real spy. We should have seen a movie with him. He knows more what's going on than any other character in the film, to include Bruce. Jason Lutz is in the bathroom looking in the mirror. He must have just janked one out. I don't know. He didn't pee or poo. He just went in there. He got one loose in a sock, and he's feeling good. And he gets the phone call, and he tells him there's a hit out on you. As he says this, an Asian man is walked into the bathroom, gives him a look, and then goes into a stall. And it's that moment that Kellen Lutz has put together, that this Asian man, who I have not seen and we have not seen before this, and will not see after this, and we don't even know if he's actually there to kill him. If one of these two things happens, either Kellen Lutz does not like Asian people and did not like the look he gave him, or for some reason he knows that guy gave me a bad look, he's got to be the one killing me. I like the better that he's just a racist, because if he's the one killing him, he could have killed him right then. There was no need for him to then do subterfuge and pretend to go take a shit or whatever in the bathroom stall to start this Mission Impossible-esque fight that we would get, which was a good fight. It was probably the best fight in this film.
Absolutely.
But the coming together of events is absolutely asinine. Completely asinine. So either Kellen Lutz did not like the way this Asian man looked at him and wanted to fight him just for that reason, or the Asian guy really was the killer but had no reason to go into the bathroom to wait to fight this guy. It made no fucking sense. No one can see this, but right now there's a door behind Steve. It would be like, I say, Steve, someone's there to kill you, and someone opens the door and looks at Steve and closes it and then goes hide somewhere else in his house. He could kill Steve right now. Steve has no choice. If that door swings open and someone's got a gun, Steve is going to be killed in front of my eyes.
I'm a little bit offended because you've forgotten something very important. You've skipped past.
Oh, what did I skip? I apologize. What was it?
Gina Carano's friend, who they meet, who takes her to
listen, I wanted to do the fight and then allow you
to
introduce her again, because this is the future love of your life.
This out. You can do what you want.
No, it's good. I'm gonna tell you what, folks. The person he's about to announce, because we can move past it, because it was a good fight scene from there, but it was a little.
That was a great scene.
It was Mission Impossible Fallout light in the fight scene. It's not as good as that, but it's weird because it's an Asian guy too. You're kind of like,
I doff my cap to you, sir. That was a very.
But Mr. Lutz was good in this. And they didn't drag it out. It was a quick,
skirmish,
but a good one, a good brutal fight. It went well, and you're like, all right, that was pretty good. Now, Mr. Smith, one of two things is going to happen, folks. And I want to preface this now. So in a couple months, when it's just the cheeky bastard because he's arrested or married and disappeared, the woman he's about to speak of was introduced to him in this film, and it sparked something inside of him. And he's been lucky since then. I think we've watched 3 or 4 consecutive films with her in them. I'm pretty sure he's going to stalk her, and she's either going to fall in love with him or have him arrested. But, ladies and gentlemen, the future Miss Steve Smith, or plaintiff against Steve Smith, is
Miss Lydia Hull, playing the character of Chris. She is, I mean, look, she may very well fall in love with me, but she will eventually have me arrested anyway. But no, Gina Carano's old pal, this is weird, right? Because Gina Carano is this ass-kicking, like, FBI agent, operative, fucking tough chick. And her best pal.
And it feels like when we meet them, that this is the first time that Gina has met her too.
Yes, but that's Gina Carano's fault.
There's not even a single thing of
this, okay?
No, I'm not. But it's like if you and I just started a podcast with never meeting, it was like they don't know each other at all. Like Gina, this is Lydia, you're acting together today. Like they didn't even try to build any chemistry or that we would even believe they were best friends.
So you need to get in. So basically, Lutz and Carano, they need to get into this club, this exclusive club, to find this sleazebag gangster guy. So basically, this is the guy that Gina Carano has got to try and seduce, which is the most awful thing you'll ever see. Probably the most horrifying thing you'll see this year. And we've got Halloween coming up, so that just goes to show.
And so Extraction is kind of a horror film.
Kind of, yeah. I tell you, it's pretty fucking scary and upsetting and disturbing. But the funny thing is, get them into this club, they go to Gina Carano's old pal, who's this kind of, I don't know, freewheeling, footloose and fancy-free gal.
Yet also feels like she's from the nunnery, right? At the same time, like she has more sexual appeal to her when we meet her. She's like dressed skimpily, but yet she's also kind of like, don't you go getting fresh with my friend?
Hot as fuck, man. That's my
I know, but she's throwing all these weird vibes
what
at
are you
us.
talking about? But yeah, so Lydia Hull as Chris, Gina Carano, sort of bubble-headed, kind of footloose and fancy-free pal, who just like, how the fuck did your paths meet for you to become close pals?
That's what I'm saying.
It's just insane. But Lydia Hull, she brings such levity to the movie because it's so dull. She
does. But she's in the wrong film, as you like to say. Like, she is in a 1980s, 1990s buddy romance comedy. She is playing it like she's in a buddy
romance
comedy.
Like some comedy or something. Yes. Right now.
And we're in this dull spy
this film, everyone in it is so dull. Even Bruce Willis. Our boy Lutz is a fucking... the male version. He is a plank of wood, just as... You know, maybe they are made for each other, because Lutz and Carano, you know, they're like 2 planks of wood, basically. It's a humorless, ludicrous, implausible movie, and slap bang in the middle of it, we get introduced to Lydia Hull playing Chris, who's just this fantastic, funny, cute as fuck, like, chick who works in this, like, strip club type place. And like I say, she brings such levity to it all, and she's just like such a natural actress. And like you say, she's just in the wrong movie. She's probably thinking, Gina Carano, she did the movie with Steven Soderbergh. Lutz was from Twilight. I'm working a movie with Bruce fucking Willis. So she's bringing her A game to a fucking Z-grade movie.
Yeah, exactly. She sticks like such a sore thumb.
No, she does.
And now that I realize it, because I wrote down, what the fuck is the purpose of this bitch in the Mustang? Because she is so... Here's the thing. There is a funny... Well, there's not a funny moment. They follow them from the club after Gina gets captured for like an hour through the desolate streets of Mobile,
goes on
Alabama.
For quite a long
and
time.
the people... A long time. And the people have no idea they're being followed. It's the only vehicle. And then... So that should be comedy in itself, but it's not. And she's bringing levity. She just won't shut up. And he tells her to wait outside. She goes, "You want me to come in?" He goes, "I want you to wait in the car. If I'm not in an hour, call this number. We'll get to the ending here, but skip ahead. If you think they don't succeed, let me tell you, it's a directed. They're succeeding. The villains never win in a direct-to-home movie. It's always the good guy's going to prevail. So when they come out there, she's falling asleep in the car, and that should be a moment of levity. But they don't even play it that way. Like her whole purpose was in case he didn't come out in an hour. She didn't call a phone number, and instead she fell asleep in the car. That should have been a moment of levity at the end, like. And then the credits, but it didn't. There was none of it. They all played it like. So she sticks out such a sore thumb that you're kind of like, why is she even here? I felt bad for her. She's in the wrong
but she's
film.
Awesome.
Like she was, like you said, she thought she was in this great buddy slap comedy.
You know
nothing.
what? This is the naivety that I would have had as well, wouldn't you?
What about this? The way this movie's written, if this was a comedy, like a farcical comedy about spies, it would have been a better film. Like the movie Spy with Jason Statham, where he makes fun of himself in the movie. Like he's this great spy, and every time he does something, he fucks it up. It would have been better. I think she was playing in that movie. She thought she was in that film because she would have been fantastic in that movie.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? That like you said, she's in the wrong movie. But she thinks she's in the right movie. You know, this is the kind of deluded vibe we've got going on with this whole flick, really. But like I say, she's great in this. She's much needed, actually, when she comes into the movie. You're like, oh, thank fuck, because she's, like I say, she's quirky. She's got the facial mannerisms. She's got the little quips and everything. And you're just like, oh, yeah, and she's hot as fuck. So that's awesome. Gina Carano gets zipped up in this sexy fucking...
I know. I would have rather seen Lydia Hall.
This is what I'm saying. In these movies, people are in the wrong fucking roles. They're just like...
They're the wrong fucking movies. They're not just in the wrong roles.
D.B. Sweeney should play the dad. Bruce Willis should play the fucking CIA guy who's training him. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about the CIA. One of the best people is the CIA
this
guy
is
who's
what
actually
I'm
running
saying.
it. He's
so
phenomenal.
Everyone's just in the wrong fucking part. That's like they've all played dress up. And that's like, oh, this jacket doesn't fit me. You put it on, basically. So you're just left with this, like, everyone's just completely unbelievable, apart from Lydia Hall.
The way to best summarize it is the end is this, as we said, this important tech weapon is guarded in this building by the most minimal amount of people possible. However, I did write down that the terrorists have a very diverse hiring practice because every person that Kellen Lutz has to go and kill changes its race every person who gets killed.
Well, you know, this
they kill a white man, they kill a black man, they kill a Hispanic man. Like he goes through the United Nations of people. Yes, it really was. I was like, wow, that's pretty diverse hiring practices for Hollywood. I was like, wow, this is impressive.
The Rainbow Coalition of Thugs. This is, you know.
And then at the end, there are more twists in the last 10 minutes of this film than an ice cream stand. It's unbelievable. Like, all of a sudden, none of this has been set up. All of a sudden, Bruce Willis may be a double agent. It's just like, what the fuck is happening? At the end, I was like, what?
However.
Like, M. Night Shyamalan was going, look, I do better than this.
I didn't know what was going on, but... This is where I felt Mr. Lutz kind of came into his own. He started kicking everyone's ass when he beats up all these terrorists and shit.
That's all he should have done.
But he did it with great aplomb.
How about this? Lydia Hall should have been Bruce Willis's daughter, and the person that plays Gina Carano's part should have been Kellen Lutz. Better film.
This is my point.
Enjoyed it more.
Thank you.
We've done it. Steve and I will be making these films with these people. When AI has the technology, we will remake all these films and put the right people in our cast. We're going to have like a new section
of this podcast, you know, called Fantasy Filmmaking, where we just change everything and make an actual, you know, plausible movie. But when Lutz goes in at the end to this like warehouse area and starts fucking everyone up, I'm like, you know, we just needed more of this because he's selling it. Yes. He's pretty good.
Like we've talked about up to this point. For all these action films, very little action. Like these are sold in the trailers as action movies. And at least the action movies that were B-rate and lower in the 80s and 90s had fucking ridiculous action. All of them, you go look at, like, even some of the ones that are on YouTube now that people make fun of, like, it's like Hawaii something, there's some movie, I forget what, but it's ridiculous, but there's action. It may be ridiculous action, but there's fucking action. There's tits, there's ass, there's action, something
exploitation.
In these movies, we don't get any of this.
This is the problem. They're too middle of the road, aren't they? They're too scared, really, to and they want to get on as many streaming platforms as possible. So there's no tits. I mean, even when you watch films on Netflix now, there's no sex scenes and stuff. Apart, I'll give them. There's obviously like the odd anomaly, like Blonde or something, where but they make something like that in a complete art house experience, where it's an art piece, so it avoids any controversy. Whereas any sort of B-movie type action flick, there's just no tits and ass. No. There's no gore. There isn't any. I think
it's to their detriment.
Isn't any gore even. It's you can have someone getting shot 60 times and then set on fire, but you can't have someone's head getting blown off from his fucking neck up. Yeah. Like you used to get back in the day.
And that's the detriment, because if they could, they would actually do better, because they would become a cult classic and people would then actually go out and buy the physical copies if they couldn't see it streaming. They're so short-sighted.
Which is
the only reason I can figure that is that what they're doing is they're washing drug money. That's my conclusion. What we get done with this, what I've realized about all the films Bruce is in, is he is helping, without him knowing it, he is helping to launder money from drug traffickers and sex trafficking.
Yeah, that's what
he's doing. He doesn't know.
No, of course not. That's the oldest.
Just because they're not making a profit.
It's the oldest trick in the book,
Imagine the end of that scene where Gina's hung up and the guy's trying to like strip her and try to rape her, and she beats his ass naked. People are watching this film more. People are going crazy for this stuff. You want some of that tantalizing stuff for us to watch a movie that goes direct to video. Yeah. Not just because Bruce Willis is in it. I get that might get the overseas crowd, but especially America, we're so desensitized. We have people shooting at us in the mall. We've got to give us more. You know what I mean? Like
you would think,
we need nipples that shoot out fire. That's what
you would think so.
You would think, but we can't do it.
We're all desensitized, man.
We're known for violence,
it's not exclusive,
but we don't even do the violence.
It's not exclusive to Americans. We're all desensitized these days. So you think, what are you trying to shy away from?
I know. Well, because we go to the movies for the escape. We go to the movies for the escape of, like, I didn't, like we talk about on my Tarantino, I didn't walk out of Kill Bill and go, I got to go get a sword and start killing people. I was enthralled by that movie because of the cool stuff that was in it. When Oren's chopping off heads and the blood's spurting out in ways that doesn't happen, you're like, I'm in. This is awesome. This is what I went to the movies for. That's why horror movies in the 80s worked, even though their plots were terrible and even the acting was terrible. You didn't go for that. You went for the possible TNA you were going to see and the cool kills. And we get none of that so far in any of these goddamn films.
No, we really don't.
Does anyone know you're here? Did you follow protocol?
Dad, are you okay?
Harry, focus. Does anyone know you're here? No. No one knows you're here.
The last person I spoke to was Uncle Ken. Fuck, I'm sorry, Dad. Fucked up.
Nelson, you did everything you could. We're fine. No one knows we're here.
Dad?
Give us a minute. Sorry about all this, Harry.
What's going on, Dad?
Retaliation.
I don't understand.
Retaliation for your mother.
What's this got to do with Mom?
The CIA leaked my cover. Correct. The CIA gave up my cover. It cost me your money. Almost cost me you. You stole the condor.
Favorite scene.
What was your favorite scene, if you can recall? Or, you know, the great thing is, I don't know what it was last time, so this could be completely brand new to me. I'm learning this on the fly.
Okay, well, now I've watched it twice. I'm gonna come clean. Initially, my favorite scene in this movie was the credit sequence.
Yes, that's right. That's right. It was. That's right.
But I've changed my mind. Okay. I'm lucky enough to have seen the film twice.
You said the privilege, folks. The privilege to see this.
I'm sorry, I'm kind of stealing your thunder here a bit, because I thought the bathroom fight scene was the best scene.
That is also mine as well. That was my original.
You've stuck to your guns, you see. That was your first ever. That's what you said last time.
That's fine.
But I haven't seen it twice. I enjoyed it more this time, and I was a bit more into it. I kind of detested it the first time. But watching it again, I knew what to expect. I kind of bought the lead guy a bit more as a kind of like tough guy, and I was actually really impressed. Actually, I was really impressed with that fight scene, and I was really impressed with the end scenes where when they're in the warehouse and he's kicking everyone. But they're kind of like split up. You know, they're like like vignettes of him just like beating someone over the head with a fucking pipe or something. Yeah,
you know, like Jason Bourne does for like 2/3 of the film, of their films. They get into these grapples. Like you have these long fight sequences with the James Bonds and this, and they're fun. But in these movies,
in this, like they're kind of broken up, so they don't really constitute. They don't really add up to a scene. But what I will add to it though is the bathroom scene in the nightclub with the Asian guy is fucking brutal. Great bit of like quick, you know, proper brutal fight scene. But then it spills out into the nightclub too. And then you've got Lutz and Carano kicking everyone's ass. So I'm like expanding on it. And so actually, that whole fight was pretty cool. So yeah, the credit sequence is still awesome though.
It is.
I'd be very suspicious of someone who didn't think that credit sequence was awesome. Yeah, you'd have to be a bit of a contrarian to disagree and say that's a shitty credit sequence. No, that's cool.
Yeah, I chose the bathroom scene the first time. I keep it this time. As you said, it's very
to the point.
Yeah, it's economic filmmaking, and it's an economic fight sequence. It doesn't go too long. It feels like this is how long this fight should have, because of the brutality of it, should have lasted. Sometimes you watch movies where like a guy gets his face smashed off a porcelain toilet, and you're like, he's not getting up and fighting. His face, bones in his face have just been shattered. He's not getting up, just shaking up with his shoulders, and they keep going. All right, he's not made of metal. So I appreciate a scene that can be very economical, as you like to say, and feel more realistic. And I appreciate it. And Lutz didn't have to do any kind of special moves. A lot of times we get some kind of special move from some of these movies. He just fought like a normal fighter, right? And he's quite adept at doing a fight scene.
To the point, quite just like, I'm just going to have to... This guy's this Asian guy's kind of flipping around. But it's not like he's Jet Li.
No,
he's
not
like Jet Li, but he's doing the occasional karate kick, whatnot. I think Lutz is kind of like, well, I can't do that shit, so I'm just going to have to...
And I appreciate that he stayed with, like, I'm going to go just the body blows and the boxing that I know. Because most movies, they end up going like, all of a sudden, like, oh, no, I also know Kung Fu.
But
it's like The Matrix.
We spill into the nightclub, and Carano's like, well, excuse me, I actually can do this shit. So she starts fucking everyone up.
Yes. And she was actually really fighting I think.
She lost her shit.
She actually hurt everybody.
Because everyone was laughing at her trying to be sexy earlier.
Exactly.
I may not be sexy, but I'm not going to fucking kill you all.
Best one-liner.
Our best one-liners. Mine has not changed, and I do apologize. Last time I talked a little bit more about this man, actor Steve Colter, who was absolutely fantastic as Prague Station Chief Theodore Sitterson, because of how much more fun we had talking about the ridiculousness of this. But my quote from him is, okay, so for those of us who didn't grow up jerking off to some science magazine, can you please explain to me the significance of this latest revelation? I fucking loved that. I loved it then. I still love it now. Mr. Sitterson has given me a real bright spot. He was a bright spot in this film. I would have preferred to see more of him, but unfortunately, we don't get a lot of him. But that is my favorite one-liner. Mr. Smith, what is yours?
Mine is, well, at the end of the movie when they all meet at the warehouse at the end for this, like, exchange of this MacGuffin with, like, millions of dollars.
The Condor.
Yeah, and they're going to sell it for 150 million quadrillion dollars or
150 billion gajillion
or something like that. We're introduced to the Russian villain who we have not seen or heard of ever.
I told you, more twists than an ice cream stand. All of a sudden,
so he comes on the screen like we should give a shit. Yeah. And we're like, who the fuck's this guy?
It'd have been great if it was Dolph Lundgren. That is just a fun
see
little...
again, you know,
Here's
fantasy
Ivan.
filmmaking, man. That's our new podcast, I'm telling you. Anyway, so he says to Bruce Willis, so there's this exchange between him and Bruce Willis. And he goes, this place is like Russia, cold and wet. Bruce Willis says, it's good for the skin. That's what they say. And the Russian says, good skin is for hookers and potatoes. And Bruce Willis says, I hadn't really thought of it that way. So that's the level of depth we're getting here. This is Shakespeare, man.
But here's what happens. Every film, I feel like we have found that the reason the film gets made, just like Hudson Hawk, is for a couple of lines. Like, these are the lines. I don't know how we're going to make a film on this, but these are the lines that need to be said, and we're going to fit them in.
This guy will produce this movie if we say what he's written on this napkin.
Exactly. Guess you won't be going to the Hack Convention.
Hey,
this July. Specifically, this July. Oh, my God.
I'm sure all you Bruce Willis fans know what line that movie is from. But anyway.
Best performance.
And now your best performance from the film.
So my favorite performance in the film is by Miss Lydia Hull.
A.K.A. Miss Lydia Hull Smith.
Yes.
She will hyphenate it. Or will it be Smith Hall? It'll be Smith Hall. You're taking her name.
Man.
Steve Smith Hall.
Yeah, definitely. Lydia Hull as the character of Chris, who, to move further into our fantasy filmmaking league,
yes.
How awesome, right? Think about this. How awesome would it have been if she was Lutz's sidekick? Instead of Carano.
How about this? If she was the daughter, it would make more sense why she wasn't able to do half the things that Kellen Lutz looks like he's physically able to do.
Yeah, or whatever way you want to do it.
If it had been the daughter, and then she's going to try to get her dad to
because he's kind of like this stone-faced guy, and she's kind of...
and then it makes sense that Lutz is the guy in the field, and that they banged each other in what's it called, and then he's helping her out.
Yeah.
It does, 100%. And Lydia is far better because now it can be a little more funny because she doesn't have the skills. And so some of the things she gets lucked into.
Exactly.
It could be way better. And then when she does the striptease... Yeah,
exactly, because he's like...
You're in. I mean, you're not even recording with me right now. I'm like, Steve's left.
Lutz is kind of like this stone-faced guy, and she's this quippy girl, and together you've got a great team there. You know, and then just kick fucking Carano over the curb and leave her back. And...
She could be the villain. Just do what she does. She's one of the villains.
Yeah, exactly. So she could be one of the villains.
Yeah, she could be more of like Terminator villain. They're sending her after them.
See, this is it. We're making our own movie.
We're already killing this. We're already fucking making this movie better in 3 seconds.
Exactly.
Well, my best performance, and I know we didn't talk about it much, and I do apologize. This is his podcast. I believe Bruce Willis, up until this point, hadn't been doing a lot in the last few films, but in this one, I really enjoyed him. He actually was really good in this. And we talked more about the farcical shit that happened, and we do apologize since this is called Dropping a Bruce. But I felt Bruce Willis was really good. I knew it from the moment he started on scene. He should be playing a long in the tooth, dark, I've had enough of this shit type of CIA guy. He's actually playing the right part. He's actually playing it the right way. He finally gets to do fucking action. Look, he can't help the fucking ice cream stand of an ending that suddenly everything's a twist. And except for the ridiculous he got captured again moment, which I don't want to give away because it's such a great twist at the end, that we learn a little bit more. But I really enjoyed Bruce. I thought he was fantastic, even though when he got shot, that was a little weird. For me, the best performance was Bruce. The only person outside of some of our side characters who was in the right role was Bruce Willis. He's the only guy in the film that was cast properly. Everybody else you shuffle up and we have a better movie. But Bruce, I was so excited the first time we saw this when it opens up and he breaks out of his chair and then he's killing people with knives and shooting people. I was like, fuck yeah. And I even liked the way he treated Kellen Lutz. I think the disdain on his face in that funeral scene or that graveyard scene was that he had to fucking share the screen with this cocksucker. I think he was like this fucking
You may very well be right.
Favorite character.
All right, that moves us to our favorite character. And again, I am remiss again because the first recording had us talking a little bit more about both of these men, but the second time through, I remembered the farcicalness of this movie, and we had a lot more fun, I feel, conversing about that. But my favorite character is Prague Station Chief Theodore Sitterson from Steve Coulter. He was only in it briefly, but he felt like he was running a CIA station. He felt like he knew what the fuck was happening, and he was a bit of a sarcastic, I've been here for a long time. I work in the CIA. Don't give me some bullshit line. If you're jerking off the science magazine, you're younger. Give it to me layman's terms. We don't have time for me to decipher this shit. We got the fate of the world is hanging in the balance, and you're fucking around over here. I loved him, and he was recently in he's been in a lot of big films. I can't remember him now because I looked him up before, but I'm not going to spend time doing that right now, so there you go. If you listen to it on a different timeline, if you're able to find a way to go to a parallel universe, you can hear the original recording, because I'm sure that didn't get fucked up somewhere else. But here, check him out. If anything, just even for the fun, check out Chief Theodore Sitterson, Steve Coulter. Fantastic. Who's your favorite character, sir?
Well, it's Chris, played by Lydia Hull. My girl.
I had a
main lady.
His lady. She's my lady.
Make love tonight. No, I just thought she was great. She was just like, every movie needs a character like this, and she just made everything work. Kind of like Thomas Jane in Vice, where I was like, well, I'm going to just throw myself into this because you paid for it, sort of thing. Not like, this is a piece of shit, so I'm not going to bother. You get a lot of that in these movies, where you're like, well, this is just a trashy fucking streaming movie. I can't be arsed. I can't be bothered to really show up. You know, and I think Thomas Jane pulled that up, and I think Lydia Hart, Chris, you know, best performance and the best character for me in a movie full of the most banal kind of straight-laced, humorless actors and actresses. Yeah. She's just like a ray of sunshine in the whole thing as an actress and what she does with the character. So yeah, that's it for me. Best character is Chris.
All right, that brings us to the moment of truth.
The moment of truth.
Mr. Smith, did Mr. Willis drop a deuce with his performance, or did he resurrect himself from the last few moments and drop a Bruce?
This is very difficult, because I think he starts off really well, but by the end, a little bit meh. I hate the word meh, but I can't really. I'm too stupid to be eloquent.
That's good.
Everyone knows. I'm just not. I'm not intelligent enough. You don't have to speak the same language to elaborate, and that's just the way it is. So,
he's got Lydia Hall on his mind. He's fumbling around.
I'm in fantasy land of my own right now. But yeah, like when the movie starts, Bruce is firing on all cylinders. He grabs this fucking pen, stabs the villain in the neck with it, grabs a gun, starts fucking shooting the shit out of everyone. And I'm like, this is my boy. Bruce is back. Here we go. And then he doesn't quite live up to that promise for the rest of the movie, but that intro is so cool. It's a Bruce.
He most definitely dropped a Bruce.
Bruce gives us a Bruce, you know? So it's kind of like 60% of his screen time is in that intro, and it's great. The other 40, very mundane, but the 60 wins, doesn't it?
Yeah, like you said, I think the opening and closing of this film for Bruce was fantastic. The middle stuff is just mired in the stupidity of the movie and the script. But that being said, this is the first film that we've watched that he was an action star in it. And he was actually playing a role that he should have been playing. This is the roles I've been expecting him to play, being the supporting character he's brought in. He's brought in to be the villain, to be whatever, and he's going to be the guy who does most of the action, or at least get the cool action moments and some of the cool dialogue. He didn't get the cool dialogue in this, but he had the cool action beats in this for the most part. I mean, Kellen got some good ones, but for the most part, they gave Bruce what he could do. They didn't treat him like fucking Liam Neeson, who in a lot of his movies, he's trying to throw punches and he's old as time, and you're like, Jesus Christ. Like, you can see the punch coming before he even throws it. Like, you know, you're like, oh boy, he's not an action star anymore. They don't make Bruce do that. They let him use the weapons and all that. So I actually gave him a Bruce as well. He was enjoyable in this. He was the only solid character who didn't feel out of place. He didn't do, as I've said before, a Wild Willis, trademarked by the Cheeky Bastards. He did not do any of that. He stayed straightforward. He played the role as he should have, and he got to do some fucking action. Finally. I'll be honest, when we started this journey, I thought we were going to see nothing but Bruce Willis doing action in shitty movies and be like, okay, you know what, the movie was shit, but Bruce at least did some action. We haven't had that the whole time. We have not had that, unfortunately. So it was refreshing to finally see Bruce Willis, an action icon, do some fucking action, which is why you put him on your fucking poster in the first place. Fucking idiots. Don't bring him into a film if you're not going to use him for what he does. What the fuck? Either let him be funny, like we did in Death of a High School President. Let him be funny, because he's got really good comedic timing and humor. Or let him be a badass and let him kill some people. That's all I'm here for. I don't need him to see him as a fucking boring, paper-pushing weirdo. Just don't fucking ruin it. But hopefully more will follow that line. But I don't have great feelings
we'll
for that.
See.
So we both agree he has dropped a Bruce in this one.
He most definitely dropped a Bruce.
And now, I think we know the answer, but Mr. Smith, is this movie a Bruce or a fucking deuce?
This movie is a deuce.
This film most definitely dropped a deuce.
It's too implausible. You know, it straddles that line, doesn't it, being formulaic and implausible, where, you know, the whole ploy of Bruce Willis setting all this up, basically to avenge the murder of his wife. It's just too bonkers to consider.
Well, especially because they don't even fucking lay any breadcrumbs for it at all.
No, it's like, it's just a twist that it's just such an out of nowhere twist that's hard to even give a shit about it, really. You know, because bear in mind, we never actually see Bruce Willis's wife.
It's a silhouette of a
getting
woman
shot
who
off
got
screen
paid, probably
at the very beginning of the movie.
Yeah. She's outside. There's the curtains are down, or maybe you can see through the curtains, but this woman just kind of gets shot. She's dark. She's not lit up, and she just falls onto the porch. And that's that.
See her blood hit the wall, and that's about it. So you don't get that feeling of like, yeah, she deserves. You know, you should have flashbacks. You know,
or even that scene in the cemetery. Someone should be upset. Someone should be crying.
No one's crying.
Like even the kid who played Kellen Lutz Young, he wasn't upset when she got killed. Like, you know, there was no like, oh my mom, none of that. Bruce didn't seem all that upset. She could have been hit by a bus. We didn't care. Like that woman. Once she was shot in the beginning, I didn't think about her another minute.
No, that's it. Fucks. And then at the end, this was all set up to, in her, you know, honor her or whatever. I don't even know her fucking name unless I saw it on the gravestone. So, yeah, for me, this just falls way short, really. This is you can see the kind of film they're attempting to make, but they failed. So it has to be a deuce, you know. That's it. That's all I can really, all I'm going to say on the matter.
I, too, give this a deuce.
This film was definitely dropped a deuce.
However, like you, when it opens a bit, you go, okay. We're never going into any of these films knowing that what they are, thinking we're going to get a Die Hard or any of the level that we know from Willis's good films. So I don't go in with that being my barometer for a deuce or a Bruce. No. I don't go in with that because that's unfair to these films and unfair to us to review them that way. I go into them going, is this going to be at least an enjoyable movie? I go, you know what? I don't know if I'd watch it, but I enjoyed sitting through this film. And there's a couple coming up that we know what I'm talking about. We kind of go, man, this is a B movie, but that's actually I had a good time watching this film. So when it starts, especially the roller coaster we've been on for the last few, Bruce is in action. You go, oh, okay, here we go. And then, like you said, that fucking opening title sequence, I'm like, all right, maybe this is going to surprise us. But that's it. That first 5 minutes after that, like you said, when you go back and rewatch it, it's funny. It becomes a funny, farcical look at the film. It's ridiculous. But that was not the intent of the filmmakers. No. This is not a Hot Rod or a Napoleon Dynamite kind of comedy where the more you go back and watch it, the funnier you find things to be. This was not intentionally made that way. They did not want you to see this as fucking like Spaceballs or Airplane. They wanted you to think of this as Jason Bourne meets Mission Impossible. And it was neither. And it is a deuce. And for all the reasons we said. Again, if you're watching this to see how Bruce does, as what this podcast is, then it's worth the watch to see at least Bruce. This is strange, but I feel like if you watch these out of the way we watch them, you're just going to miss out on either the progression or the regression of these films.
Yeah, chronological order is the way you got to do that.
Yeah, I think it is. Because as we go, you know, we're now kind of jumping out of sequence, but we were doing these in sequence. There's some coming down the road that, oh, okay, might be some bright spots. But I also know we got some dark spots coming back again, too. So it's just to see. And also now that we know that Bruce has an illness, now we're seeing these back in the past. With this now information given to us, you can start to see where we started to see there's some slip. You can see some of it. You can see some of the regression in him.
There's going to be an element of certainly the further along we get, there's going to be an element of morbid curiosity more than anything.
Yeah.
But you know, we'll be kind and we'll be fair.
Yeah.
But we'll be honest.
Because I do believe it happens in the next time, our next film we talk about. It's where we first see it. We talk about it. So it's coming crystal in my mind right now. So
there we go. You know.
Yeah. So we've got a Bruce for his acting. We've got a Deuce for the film, and we've now made 7. We have 33 to go. 33 more to go. Just under 3 years time left. Our sentence here on Dropping a Bruce is slowly under 3 years. We're on the way home. We're gonna be on the way home sooner than later. Our trip to Assassin will be the final Bruce Willis film that we will tackle. So hopefully you'll stay with us, especially those of you who continue to support us on the Last of the Action Heroes podcast. We want to thank you, and we still want to thank Mr. Ryan Rebelkin for giving us the honor of bringing us on your network. Hopefully we are not a stain on it. Hopefully we are bright.
We're trying our best.
And that will do it for our 7th episode. Please feel free to reach out to us on the show's socials, which can be found in the show notes, and tell us what you thought about this film, how you feel about Bruce as an actor, or even to let us know what you think about the show. We'd also greatly appreciate it if you'd give the show a like, leave us a review, and follow the show on the Last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network, where you can find other amazing podcasts dedicated to such iconic action stars as Stallone, Lundgren, Van Damme, Schwarzenegger, and Seagal. The link to the network can also be found in our show notes. And be sure to check out our main show, the Cheeky Bastards Podcast. New episodes drop 2 weeks prior to Dropping a Bruce and are available wherever you get your podcast. So won't you please join us again next month as Steve and I will be reviewing Bruce's role in 2016's action thriller, Precious Cargo, to once again see if he dropped a deuce or if he dropped a Bruce. Until then.
Yippee Ki-Yay Motherfucker.
This has been a Man with an Exceptional Beard production.